Alright, hello doctors, welcome back to Pirates of Medicine. Today we are going to continue with the physiology based series for Croc 1 medicine exam. This is the third video in this series. I hope you are all preparing well. There is less than 1 month left for the Croc exam. If you are preparing well, then that's good. If you are not, you still have time. You should prepare all the bases. You should carry regular revisions of the previous year papers. Again and again you need to solve the questions so that the questions get etched into your mind and you're able to solve them on the day of the exam very fluently. So without any further ado, let's begin. So the 51st question today is ECG of a patient shows prolongation of the T wave. This is caused by deceleration in the ventricles of. So I told you in one of the previous questions before that the T wave is responsible for ventricular repolarization. We studied in the previous question the PQRST wave, the ECG complex, and we studied that the P wave is responsible for SA node depolarization. The PQ interval shows the delay of the AV node. The QRS complex shows the depolarization of the ventricles, and the ST segment is the beginning of the ventricular repolarization. It normally should be flat, and the T wave signifies the ventricular repolarization. So the answer clearly is repolarization. Pretty simple. Let's go to the next one. So in a healthy adult, the speed of excitement conduction through the AV node is 0.02 to 0.05 meter per second. Atrioventricular delay enables what? So atrioventricular delay is what? The thing is, you need to understand over here is that we have this conducting system through the heart. So what does conducting system do? So SA node is the natural pacemaker of the heart. This SA node is responsible for generating automatic action potentials which go to every part of the cardiac tissue, and every part of cardiac tissue contracts in response to this action potential. So the conducting system works this way. Conduction, the pacemaker SA node generates an action potential, and then it sends the action potential to the next one, the left atrium, and also simultaneously to the AV node. As you can notice over here, the path that the action potential will take to reach the adjacent atrium is quite longer as compared to the adjacent AV node. So what happens in the AV node, there is a slight delay in the conduction velocity which enables the signal to reach the next adjacent atrium so that both atria can simultaneously contract. And then when they both contract, the signal comes out of the AV node and it reaches the ventricles, and then both the ventricles simultaneously correct. So this AV delay, the delay of conduction velocity in the AV node, enables that the both atria can contract together before the ventricles, and then both ventricles can contract together. So it ensures that both atriums contract together and both ventricles contract together, because it gives enough time for the conduction impulse to reach the adjacent atrium, and both the left and right atrium, they can contract simultaneously. I hope you understand why AV delay is so important, because if AV delay is not there, then the conduction impulse will reach the AV node, and then the right atrium will contract first, left will contract later, and there will be no simultaneous contraction, which is very bad for the heart. One atrium contracting before the another is very pathological, correct? So this is the benefit of AV node. That is why the answer is AV delay enables sequence or similar contraction at the same time of the atrium and the ventricles. 53rd question is that a 2-year-old child has convulsion as a result of lowered concentration of calcium ions in the blood plasma. It is caused by the reduced function of which hormone, which gland over here. So you can see the patient suffers from hypocalcemia. There is less quantity of calcium in the blood, correct? So I told you before that the parathyroid hormone from the parathyroid gland works to increase the plasma calcium levels. It takes calcium from the bones by resorption, increasing the osteoclast activity. It asks the kidney to increase calcium resorption from the urine, correct? and it also stimulates the 1-alpha hydroxylase activity, which makes the activated form of vitamin D3, which goes to the small intestine and increases calcium absorption from the food. So the final result is that the amount of calcium in the blood plasma is increased. Now, if the parathyroid gland is not working, what will happen? Obviously, calcium will get decreased, which is hypocalcemia. This is what is seen in the patient, which results in convulsions. That is why the answer over here is reduced function of parathyroid gland. I hope you understand it. Pretty simple, right? So the 54th question today is that what heat transfer mechanism is the most effective while the man being at 80% of air moisture and the temperature being 35 degrees Celsius. So we did this question before and I hope you are ready to answer it. You can see two things we need to check: the temperature and the moisture. You can see that the moisture is not up to 100, not very high. It is high, but it is not at the level of 100. And you can see that the temperature of the surroundings is more than the body. Then what mechanism of heat loss will take place over here? Evaporation. Because evaporation occurs when the environmental temperature is higher than the skin, but is limited when the humidity is very high. And here the environmental temperature is higher than the skin, but the humidity is quite normal, as you can see. So the mechanism of heat loss over here will be evaporation. We learned these other mechanisms in previous question. You can note down over here if you forgot. So anyway, let's go to the next one. So 55 question is that during preparation of a patient to a heart surgery, it was necessary to measure pressure in the heart chambers. In one of them, pressure varied from 0 mm of Hg up to 120 mm of Hg within one cardiac cycle. What heart chamber is it? So let's look at the pressure differences in various chambers of the heart. So in various chambers, like first of all, we have the right atrium over here. In right atrium, the pressure varies from 0 to 4 mm of Hg. On the other hand, in right ventricle, it varies 25 to 4, 25 systolic and 4 diastolic. Correct. In the pulmonary artery, the pressure is around 25 to 10 diastolic, 25 by 10. In left atrium, the pressure is around 8 to 10. This one, left atrium. And in the left ventricle, which is responsible for pumping the blood to the aorta, the pressure is as high as 120 to 120 from 10. Like 120 systolic and 10 diastolic. Correct. And in the aorta, it is 120 to 80. 80 diastolic because of peripheral resistance. So you can clearly see that the answer over here is the left ventricle. Because in the left ventricle is an actual chamber of the heart in which the pressure is so high up to the level of 120 mm of Hg. Correct? Left ventricle. I hope you understand it. Left ventricle because it is responsible for pumping the blood to the rest of the body. That is why the pressure needs to be very high. So the 56th question is that the heart of a man permanently equals 40 beats per minute. What is the pacemaker? So normally when the SA node is the pacemaker, the heart rate is around 60 to 100 BPM because SA node generates action potential at this rate, 60 to 100. 60 normally, 100 to 110 in case of tachycardia. In the case of AV node becoming the pacemaker when SA node is not functioning, then the next candidate or the next person, not person, but the next candidate to take the pacemaker function is the AV node. And in this case, the heart rate comes out to be around 40 to 60 BPM, 16 extreme cases of tachycardia. When the Purkinje fibers, the next conducting system, works as the pacemaker, if the SA node and the AV node are not working, then the heart rate comes out to be less than 40 BPM because they can only generate action potential at less than 40 BPM rate. So if AV node is the pacemaker, or if the beats are 40 beats per minute, then the pacemaker is AV node. 57 question is that stimulation of an excitable cell by electric current has led to depolarization of the membrane. The depolarization has been caused mainly by the following ions penetrating into the cell through its membrane. So I told you already in the question before that depolarization is the process by which there is a change in the membrane potential. It is a result in shift in electric charge that results in less negative charge inside the cell. So you can see over here, I told you this before, that this is the normal resting membrane potential about minus 70 millivolt, and over here when the sodium channel starts to open, it reaches a threshold and the voltage gated sodium channels open and depolarization occurs because sodium enters into the cell. So you can clearly see over here the voltage gated sodium channel allowing sodium to come inside the cell is responsible for changing the membrane potential towards the positive side, which is called as depolarization. And once they reach a maximum peak level, it falls down because the sodium channels close and the potassium channel open, and the potassium leaves outside the cell, making the whole membrane whole cell membrane negative, and slowly the membrane potential falls. But potassium channels are lazy, so they take time to close, so they make the potential more negative, which is called as hyperpolarization. So anyway, that is action potential. But I think you now understand that depolarization is because sodium ions enter the cell, and that is why the answer is simply sodium ions penetrating into the cell. Correct. The 50th question is that the patient of a 10-year-old boy consulted a doctor about extension of hair covering, growth of beard and mustache. Low voice, intensified secretion of which hormone should be assumed? So this is a classical time in a boy's age, when he comes of age, literally. This is puberty. And what hormones is secreted at a large quantity during puberty? Testosterone. Testosterone during puberty can cause various changes. It can intensify RBC production in the bone marrow. Obviously, it will cause increase in sexual characteristic. It will cause increase in sperm production. It will cause erectile function. It will cause growth of prostate. It will cause, first of all, secondary sexual characteristic like hair growth in pubic areas. Correct. The bones density mass maintenance also is a work of testosterone. Testosterone does the muscle growth, increased strength of the muscles. It causes increased sex drive in the brain as well. It improved mood, confidence, memory function. Like these are the general functions of the testosterone. And one of the function you already know, that the voice becomes deeper or more hoarse. So this is the characteristic effect of the testosterone. Hair covering extension, growth of beard, low voice, hoarse voice. So this is the effect of testosterone. 59th question is that lung ventilation in a person is increased as a result of physical activity. Which of the following indices of the external respiration is much higher than the state of rest? So in case of physical activity, what would happen? Just by logic, what would happen? You will take more deep breaths because of you need more oxygen for doing more muscular work. So as a response, your respiratory center will tell your lungs that you need to take more air in your body so that more oxygen comes in. So you will hyperventilate, and that it would result in tachypnea, fast breathing. Correct. So if you take more breath in, this will cause increasing the respiratory volume, because respiratory volume is what? Respiratory volume or minute ventilation is the total volume of gas leaving or entering the lung per minute. It is the product of tidal volume and the respiratory rate. Tidal volume will remain the same because tidal volume is the amount of air that can be inhaled or exhaled. Correct. But respiratory rate will change with exercise. So ultimately the respiratory volume will increase if you are doing a physical exercise. All of the volume and all of the capacity, we are going to make a video covering all that, so don't worry, we will be able to answer all the questions related to the volumes and the capacities. For now, I hope you understand that the respiratory volume will increase because the respiratory rate will increase. The respiratory volume depends on tidal volume and respiratory rate, where the respiratory rate is the only one which will change during physical exercise. Good, let's go to the next one. So 60 question over here is that the man took a quiet expiration. Name an air volume that is meanwhile contained in these lungs. So anyway, let's do this air volume as well. So when man takes a quiet expiration, then there is some amount of air that is left behind in his lung. So normally you take a breath in and then you normally passively take a breath out. There is certain amount of air that is still in your lungs, which is called the functional residual capacity. What does functional residual capacity contain? Functional residual capacity is the volume remaining in the lungs after a normal passive exhalation. I hope you understand. A normal exhale, then the amount of air remaining back in your lung is called as functional residual capacity. I hope you understand. Simple, correct? Clear to clear. The air volume meanwhile contained in his lung after quiet expiration, functional residual capacity. We'll cover the respiratory capacities in the video coming very soon. So the 61 question here is that examination of an isolated cardiomyocyte revealed that it didn't generate excitation impulses automatically. This cardiomyocyte was obtained from, I told you, the conduction system of the heart. The SA node can act as a cardiac pacemaker. The AV node can act as a cardiac pacemaker. The Purkinje fibers can act as a pacemaker. What cannot act as a pacemaker over here is the ventricles. Even His bundle can, because His bundle is the part of the conducting system. But the ventricles, the cardiomyocyte of the ventricles, only work for contraction. They don't work as an automaticity cell. So that is why the answer over here is ventricles. So let's go to the next one. So 62 question is that examination of a man established that the cardiac output is around 3500 milliliter. The systolic output is 50 milliliter. What is the man's heart rate per minute? So I told you already that the cardiac output equals to the heart rate multiplied by the stroke volume or the systolic volume. And the systolic volume is the amount of blood ejected by the ventricle per minute. And the cardiac output simply is the minute volume of the heart. How much the volume heart pumps every minute. So cardiac output is heart rate multiplied by stroke volume. In the question, the stroke volume is 50. The cardiac output given is 3500. The heart rate comes out to be 3500 by 50, 70 beats per minute. Simple maths. I hope you understand. So the 63 question is that as a result of continuous starvation, the glomerular filtration has increased by 20%. The most probable cause of the glomerular filtration alteration under the mentioned condition is which one? So I told you before that starvation causes a decrease in protein content in the serum, which leads to hypoalbuminemia in the liver. The liver is not producing a normal amount of albumin, the plasma protein, and albumin shortage leads to fall in oncotic pressure, which leads to development of edema. And I told you that oncotic pressure opposes filtration in the kidney. And if there is a loss of oncotic pressure, then the glomerular filtration will increase. Here it is increasing by 20% in case of starvation. So this shows that there is a decrease in oncotic pressure because there is less intake of protein on the account of starvation. 64 question over here is that the man who went on a ride on a roundabout had amplification of the heart rate, sweating and nausea. What receptor stimulation is it primarily connected with? So if you go on a roundabout, what happens is that there is a change in your angular momentum, correct? Because you are going in circles again and again. And there are these receptors present in your vestibules, in the semicircular canals, which is responsible for telling the brain that there is a change, detecting a change in the angular momentum. So these receptors, what they do is they engage in a reflex called as vestibulosympathetic reflex. So if there is a change in angular acceleration or angular momentum, what would happen is that these vestibulosympathetic reflex they will stimulate these vestibular receptors. They will engage in a vestibulosympathetic reflex, which will tell the heart and the peripheral blood vessels to increase the heart rate and blood pressure, because this is a sympathetic reflex, and this will lead to heart rate increase and vasoconstriction. Correct? So the receptors responsible are the vestibular receptors. So 65th question is that a man's intrapleural pressure is being measured. In what phase did the man hold his breath if the pressure is minus 7.5 centimeter H2? So we did this question on Instagram in a quiz. So intrapleural pressure is the pressure in the pleural cavity, and normally the pressure in the pleural cavity is slightly less than the atmospheric pressure, which is known as the negative pressure, because it is less than the atmospheric pressure. So in quiet inspiration, when you're taking a breath in passively, the intrapleural pressure is around minus 7 centimeter of H2. And in quiet expiration, this pressure becomes slightly positive, around minus 3 centimeter of H2O. In forced inspiration, when you are using your accessory muscles, the pressure, intrapleural pressure, comes out to be minus 25 centimeter of H2O. In case of forced expiration, the pressure becomes more positive. It becomes on the right side of the scale, plus 3 centimeter of H2O. So in the question, it was minus 7.5 centimeter of H2O, which according to our table shows that this is a stage of quiet inspiration. Correct? I hope you understand. Memorize this table. So let's go to the next one. 66th question is that the atria of an experimental animal were super distended by blood that resulted in decreased reabsorption of sodium and water in the tubules. This can be explained by the influence of the following factor upon kidneys. So when the atria are distended, when cardiac distension occurs, what happens is that the atria, they secrete a special hormone called as ANP, atrial natriuretic peptide. And this ANP does a work that finally leads to increased excretion of sodium again. So the ANP first of all acts on the kidney to increase the glomerular filtration rate. The ANP acts to decrease renin concentration, which leads to decrease angiotensin 2 and aldosterone system. And if aldosterone 2 is not in a sufficient amount, then the sodium reabsorption will not occur, which will lead to more sodium excretion, which is called as natriuresis, and the diuresis will increase as well. And as a result, the blood volume will normalize, it will decrease, the blood pressure will decrease, and the work of ANP is done. So ANP and aldosterone, they work together to maintain the blood volume and blood pressure at a normal level. So the work of decreased sodium reabsorption and water in renal tubule is due to natriuretic hormone. 67 question is that a middle-aged man went to a foreign country because he had been offered a job there. However, he had been employed for a long time. What endocrine glands were exhausted most of all in this man? So this man is suffering from a case of extreme chronic stress, because he is in a foreign country and he is being employed, so he's in a lot of stress. So we have this stress hormone secreted by a gland, which is the adrenal cortex, the cortisol. Correct. So the cortisol hormone is the stress hormone, and because of this stress hormone being secreted a lot in this man because of his prolonged chronic stress, then the adrenal gland will be most exhausted. So I hope you understand why the answer is adrenal gland. So let's go to the next one. 68th question is that a 60-year-old man after cerebral hemorrhage felt asleep for a long time. Damage of what structure caused this state? In our brain, we have a special formation of fibers called as reticular formation. It is a set of interconnected nuclei that are located throughout the brainstem. The neurons of the reticular formation, they make up a network in the brainstem from the medulla to the midbrain over here. So the reticular formation is responsible for its role in promoting arousal and consciousness, and any injury to the reticular formation can result in prolonged sleep or irreversible coma. So I hope you understand. Let's go to the next one. 69 question is that a human body cools in water much faster than that he does in an air. So what way of heat emission is in water is more efficient? So I told you before that conduction is fastest in water, and conduction is the heat loss which takes place during immediate contact with various objects. So here the object is water, and when the body is in contact with water, it leads to very fast heat loss. So this is by heat conduction. 70 question is that as a result of spinal cord injury, a 33-year-old man has disturbed pain and temperature sensitivity that is caused by the damage of the following tract. So we have various ascending spinal tract which carry sensory information to the cortex. First of all, we have the dorsal column medial lemniscal pathway, or the fascicle of Goel and Cunate fascicles, which carry sensory modalities of fine touch, tactile sensation, vibration, and proprioception from the body to the spinal cortex. Now the signals from the upper limb, thoracic 6 and above, they travel in the fasciculus cunatus, and the signals from lower limb, they carry in the fasciculus gracilis. So together they form the dorsal column medial lemniscal pathway. Then we have the anterior spinothalamic tract. These carry the modalities of crude touch and pressure. Then we have the lateral spinothalamic tract. They carry the sensory modalities of pain and temperature. So they carry these information to the cerebral cortex. Correct? And then we have the spinocerebral tracts. Posterior, which carries proprioceptive reception from the lower limbs to the ipsilateral cerebellum. Ipsilateral means the same side of the cerebellum. The cuneo-cerebral tract carries proprioceptive information from the upper limbs to the ipsilateral cerebellum. Then we have the anterior and rostral spinocerebral tract, which carry proprioceptive information from the lower limbs. And rostral one carries from the upper limbs to the cerebellum. So in the question, they mention that the tracts, that there is a disturbance of pain and temperature sensitivity caused by damage of which tract? This is the lateral spinothalamic tract. And the answer is just spinothalamic. Even you don't have to mention lateral one. But remember, lateral carries pain and temperature, anterior one carries crude touch and pressure. 71st question is that after a surgery of a 36-year-old woman was given an IV injection of concentrated albumin solution. This has induced intensified water movement in the following direction. So remember, albumin is a plasma protein which loves to bind with various substances or metabolites in the blood plasma. Albumin binds with water, it binds with blood salts, it binds with bilirubin, it binds with various medicines that you take, it loves to bind. So if a concentration of albumin is given in water, what would happen? Albumin concentration increase in the plasma will lead to increased movement of water from the interstitial tissue to inside the capillary. So the amount of water inside the plasma will increase. Correct? And if albumin is less, then the water will move from capillaries to the interstitial tissue. So the albumin on the plasma sides gives rise to the colloid osmotic pressure. This is called as colloid osmotic pressure, the pressure caused by albumin while attracting various molecules towards it, specifically water. So this leads to movement of water into the plasma. So in the question you can see that albumin injection leads to water movement from intracellular fluid or the interstitial fluid to the capillaries. I hope you understand. 72 question is that a clinic observes a 49-year-old patient with significant prolongation of coagulation time, GIT hemorrhages, subcutaneous hematomas. These symptoms might be explained by the deficiency of following vitamins. So we have done this in biochemistry. You already know that vitamin K is responsible for conversion of inactive clotting factors into active clotting factors. So if there is vitamin, what it does, it acts as a coenzyme during this conversion. So if there is no vitamin K present, then this inactive clotting factors will not become active, which will cause coagulation disorders. So warfarin, a very common medication, can inactivate the coenzyme of vitamin K, which will lead to hypocoagulation. So vitamin K is given in case of hypercoagulation as an antidote. So warfarin does this, the same thing that is happening in the patient, that the coagulation time will be prolonged because vitamin K is not able to act as a coenzyme of carboxylation of inactive clotting factors into active clotting factors. So this is the function of vitamin K in clotting. Examination of a patient revealed hyperkalemia and hyponatremia, low secretion of which hormone may cause these changes. So there is high amount of potassium and low amount of natrium or sodium, which will be as a result of aldosterone, because aldosterone is responsible for increasing in the kidney, increasing the amount of sodium reabsorption, and this is how it's increasing sodium and chloride reabsorption, potassium secretion, and if there is more potassium in the body and less sodium, which means that sodium is being excreted more because aldosterone is not there to work. 74 question is that examination of a 43-year-old anephric patient revealed anemia symptoms. What is the cause of these symptoms? So first of all, anephric means that the patient does not have a kidney. Correct? So there is anemia in absence of a kidney. And what does kidney do that leads to anemia? The kidney has an important function of secreting a hormone called as erythropoietin. When there is a condition of hypoxia or any other stress which leads to kidney to stimulate the secretion of erythropoietin, what does erythropoietin do? It promotes the production of mature red blood cells in the bone marrow. So if there is less amount of erythropoietin because of absence of kidney, which will lead to anemia development, because erythropoietin is not there to promote production of mature cells, red blood cells in the bone marrow. So RBCs will not mature, which will lead to anemia development. 75 question is that a man is being measured power inputs on an empty stomach in the lying position under conditions of physical and psychic stress at a comfortable temperature. Power input will reach maximum at what time? So I think this is pretty simple. In the morning the power inputs would be quite low, around 3 to 4 pm. In the evening time, around 5 to 6 pm. If you measure the energy input, the power input, it will be maximum. So it is more of a question of a logic. The energy input or the power input would be the most at 5 to 6 pm. Correct? I hope you understand this one. Alright, let's go to the next one. 76, that is when measuring the power inputs of a man, the method of indirect calorimetry was the following results were obtained. 1000 milliliter of oxygen consumption and 800 milliliter of carbon dioxide liberation per minute. The man under examination has the following respiratory coefficient. So I think you should know that the respiratory quotient or the R respiratory coefficient is a dimensionless number which is used to calculate BMR, the basal metabolic rate, and it is calculated by the ratio of carbon dioxide produced to the ratio of oxygen consumed during energy production from a particular metabolite. So the glucose, from the reaction you can see that 6 CO2 is produced during glucose oxidation using 6 O2. So the ratio comes out to be 6 upon 6 to be 1. So the RQ of glucose or the carbohydrates is 1. In the case of fats, the commonest fat, the lowest, palmitic acid, uses 23 oxygen to form 16 carbon dioxide. So 16 upon 23 gives out to be 0.69, around 0.7. Albumin, 77 oxygen is used to produce 63 carbon dioxide during the oxidation, biological oxidation. So the ratio 63 by 77 gives 0.8 RQ. So in the question, 800 upon 1000 will give 0.8, and that is the RQ. Simple. More challenging, 77. While determining power inputs, the RQ is 1. So if you only know that the RQ in carbs is 1 because 6 upon 6 equals 1, you will know that this is a carbohydrate. If you don't know this, then you will most probably skip this question. Remember, in carbohydrates, the RQ is 1. In fats, the RQ is 0.7. In proteins, the RQ is 0.8. 78 is that a patient has disturbed absorption of fat hydrolysates. It might have been caused by the deficit of the following in the intestine activity. So let's take the role of bile salts in fat digestion and absorption. So when a lipid droplet comes into the intestine, what do bile salts do? They do a process called as emulsification. During emulsification, they form this emulsified chylomicron around the lipid droplet, and this helps the lipase enzyme to work on these fat molecules, lipid droplets, so that they can be digested. So lipase hydrolyzes the fat droplets and converts them into free fatty acids and glycerol. And these free fatty acids, they again combine with bile salts to form micelles. In these micelles, they can be absorbed by the small intestine and they are given into the blood. So this is the role of bile salts in fat digestion and absorption. So this is why bile acids are so important for absorption and digestion of fat. So disturbed absorption of fat might be caused by deficit in bile acids. 79 question is that inhabitants of territories with cold climate have high content of an adaptive thermoregulatory hormone. What hormone is meant by this? So thyroxine hormone has different effects during different temperatures. In hotter temperatures, thyroxine hormone is inhibited so that it decreases the metabolic rate and heat production is reduced. In cold temperature, in cold countries, hypothalamus is stimulated to secrete more thyroxine, which leads to more metabolic rate increase, which leads to more heat generation. So the thyroid hormone, the thyroxine hormone, is responsible for thermoregulation. Pretty simple. So the 80 question is that a concentration solution of sodium chloride was IV injected to an animal. This caused decreased reabsorption of sodium ions in the renal tubules. It is result of the following changes by the hormonal secretion of what? So if there is a high amount of sodium chloride in the blood due to an IV injection, what would happen? This would cause feedback inhibition. It would cause feedback inhibition, that sodium is high, so it will cause feedback inhibition to the kidney, which will lead to reduced aldosterone secretion, because aldosterone is responsible for sodium reabsorption. So if there is already high amount of sodium in the blood, it will lead to aldosterone reduction. Correct? So this is called as RAS and aldosterone feedback loop. 81 question is that accelerated frequency of heart rate and increased blood pressure were marked in the sportsman on the start stage before the competition. Influence of what parts of CNS can explain these changes? So what happens is that the cerebral cortex can influence the adrenal medulla, leading to increased secretion of epinephrine, norepinephrine, or the catecholamines. Because a sportsman is nervous before the start of the competition, it will cause activation of the sympathetic nervous system, which will stimulate the medulla to increase epinephrine and norepinephrine synthesis. So the sportsman is able to prepare himself for his match, because epinephrine and norepinephrine results in increased heartbeat, which leads to more blood pressure. And you already know that the sympathetic nervous system is the fight or flight nervous system, and it does everything that you need if you have a major if the body senses some danger, or there is a major event occurring in when you need your body to be ready and very much like ready for something. So This is how cerebral cortex affects the adrenal medulla by giving sympathetic nervous system stimulation, which leads to increased catecholamine synthesis. This is by the cortex of large hemispheres. Let's go to the next one. 82 question is that people adapted to high external temperatures have such peculiarity. Profuse sweating isn't accompanied by loss of large volumes of sodium chloride. This is caused by the following hormone upon the act of the following hormone upon the periphery or the sweat glands. So again, decreased loss of sodium from the body, always remember, may it be from urine by increasing reabsorption of sodium, or may it be from sweat glands. It is by the act of aldosterone. Aldosterone just wants sodium to remain in the body. So aldosterone, with the help of RAS, it leads to sodium retention and excretion of potassium, and chloride retention as well. So this is how aldosterone increases sodium amount in the body and doesn't want sodium to go away. So pretty simple, aldosterone act on the sweat glands, and the sweat will have less quantity of sodium chloride. 83 question is that during an experiment, the dorsal roots of the spinal cord have been cut. What changes will be observed? So before we talked about the ventral root, dorsal root are the sensory roots. They carry sensory information towards the cortex. So from various sensory receptors located in the body, various nerves carry information to the spinal cord's dorsal root via the afferent nerves. Afferent, A-F-F-E-R-E-N-T, afferent nerves. And these afferent nerves, they carry the information to the dorsal root, and from the dorsal root there are these sensory nuclei present whose axons make up the dorsal tracts of the spinal cord, like the spinothalamic tract we talk about, or the dorsal lemniscal, medial lemniscal pathway. So they carry the sensory information from the spinal cord to the cortex. So if there is injury of the posterior part of the spinal cord or the dorsal horn, which will lead to loss of sensory information, sensitivity loss. Correct? Pretty simple. So 84th and 85th question are quite related. Please understand. So as a result of destruction of certain brain stem structure in an animal, he has lost its orientative reflexes in response to strong photic stimuli. Photic means vision stimuli. What structures were destroyed? To understand this, let's look at the corpora quadrigemina. These four things, 1, 2, and 3 and 4, the one marked in green. So quadrigeminal plate or the tectal plate or the tectum or the corpora quadrigemina is constituted by the superior caliculi, the upper green ones, and the inferior caliculi, the lower green ones. Now the tectum is the dorsal portion of the midbrain. Correct? This is the midbrain, the dorsal portion. It is located posteriorly to the mesencephalic aqueduct. Now what are the function of these? The superior caliculi is involved in visual body orientation reflexes. So the orientation reflexes on response to the visual stimuli. For example, when you scan during an act of reading, or you cover your eyes in very bright areas, or turning your head towards sudden and unexpected visual stimuli. So these orientation reflexes are carried out by the superior caliculi of corpora quadrigemina. Inferior coli is responsible for the same orientation reflex in the component of the auditory pathway. So any hearing stimuli causing orientation reflexes. For example, when you turn your head towards unexpected acoustic stimuli. For example, I call you, hey Ramesh. So you immediately look towards me. Correct? So that is due to the inferior caliculi causing an orientation reflex from hearing, from auditory pathway. So this is due to the inferior caliculi, and by the superior caliculi, they are involved in visual body orientation reflexes. So in the question, the animal lost orientative reflexes in response to strong photic or vision stimuli. So what structure were destroyed? The anterior tubercles of quadrigeminal plate are commonly called as superior caulicles. So superior and anterior are the same, the posterior and inferior are the same. 85th, similar question. As a result of damage to certain structure of the brainstem, an animal lost orientation reflexes What structures were damaged? Simply quadritubercular bodies. Correct? So that's pretty much for today. That's all. We are going to cover this whole base in a few days, and we are going to finish the anatomy and the biochemistry base too. So please subscribe if you have not already, and please start studying, and please continue your preparation. And I wish you all the best. And this has been good. See you in the next one.